Welcome to Chase Your Dreams podcast, where we dive into the stories behind purpose driven brands and the people shaping the future of fashion. Today, I'm joined by Shannon, the owner of Simply Merino, a Canadian clothing brand known for its incredibly soft, sustainable everyday essentials crafted exclusively from Australian merino wool. From cozy sweats, t shirts, and swimwear to elevated basics for women, men, and kids, Simply Merino is redefining comfort with a focus on minimalism, quality, and conscious living. Based in Vancouver, Simply Merino designs and manufactures all of its pieces in Canada, allowing them to be personally involved in every stage of creation. At the heart of the brand is Australian Merino wool, an incredibly soft, temperature regulating, and durable fiber that's also naturally renewable, biodegradable, and doesn't release harmful microplastics when washed. Shannon's commitment to sustainability goes beyond fabric choice. In fact, Simply Merino has kept over 15,000 pounds of fabric scraps out of landfills through its own recycling efforts. In this episode, we talk about what it means to build a values led brand, how Simply Merino is tackling textile waste head on, and the challenges and rewards of growing a fashion business from the ground up. So let's get into it. Welcome, Shannon. It's so nice to have you here today. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a really great introduction. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I think you have an incredible brand that's quite unique because you make all your clothing from Australian merino wool and you make it right here in Canada.
That's right. We're very lucky, right in Vancouver off of Clark Street.
Great. So I'd love to get to know you a little bit better. So let's go back to the beginning. Can you tell us about your background and how you got into this business?
Okay, yes. Before or like my last life, I was a teacher and I befriended one of the parents in my class and I loved her and she has three kids and just like I actually just kind of wanted to be her, to be honest. And she started Simply Merino. So she started it in 2010. Her husband is from New Zealand and her mother-in-law is a merino wool supplier. So she talked to me about her business and I loved it. And fast forward a year, I had a kid and then we were hanging out and I just asked her how her business was. And to me, from the outside, it looked easy. It looked like, she had everything put together. She was easy breezy. And she's like, oh, well, I can't do it anymore. I have to close the doors. It's just too much for me. There's too much going on. And I just can't do it. And so I talked to my partner and I was like, oh, like this would be fun. He's an engineer. At the time, I think he was doing his MBA and just really cool. It'd be a fun thing to do. So I asked her and I approached her and I was like, hey, like, do you want to see it go somewhere or do you want to just close the doors? And she's like, I would love for someone to take it and like someone who I love and trust. And so we bought her inventory. And at the time, it was just babies and pajamas and thermals and very small, all made in New Zealand. So that's how it started. So that was 9 years ago. There's been many years of learning experiences, many tears. It was great. It was a great thing not to have started it from the ground up, but it was also very hard in the same way because I already had some customers, not many, but they had this expectation and I honestly had no idea what I was doing and had to learn from all of my mistakes. But that's where it started, and 9 years ago, and it's been growing every year, and I'm very fortunate. And I fell into this, but it's my passion, and it's just been a really great journey.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. That's a
yeah.
great story. So, no background in business or fashion.
The more women that I meet who are small business owners, they don't have much business background either. It's just the passion that comes with it. And I was always an environmentalist, and I got my degree in geography, and just like really that was my passion. And I think because of that, that's really helped our business succeed. And it wasn't about the money. Does that make like it was more kind of like, oh, this would be a fun thing to do, never expecting that it would be my full-time job. And I don't teach anymore. Um, but yes, no fashion, although I did make my grad dress when I was in grade 12. So there's that. I have some
Okay.
fashion.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
That's great. Um, I think really having that passion is a really important factor, right?
yeah,
In any any business, I think you can learn all those other aspects, but the passion
exactly.
really carries you through the hard
Exactly.
times and the challenges. Um, so how did your own lifestyle, whether as a parent, a creative, or a conscious consumer, shape your vision for the brand?
My lifestyle, well, so I had my firstborn who was one at the time, and I guess it was just well, and then I had my second one a year or two after, and it I, yes, it was important for my kids to wear natural fibers, and understanding the health impacts of non-natural fabrics and synthetics were extremely important to me always. And having kids, it was even more important. But that was kind of like the drive of the beginning of the business of the natural fabric for kids. And then understanding that my customers also, the mums also wanted something, and therefore I wanted something. I like the balance was hard. Everything was just I I don't really know how to answer the question, but the lifestyle. I guess it's yeah. I'm always an outdoorsy person. I'm always a natural person. I did my holistic health practitioner course and like lived on Salt Springs. So that has always been important to me. And that is true in our brand as well. And then it's like the
Mhm.
natural colors and the beauty of the wool that is enhanced and not necessarily the styles, you know?
Yeah. Um, I can really see that come through in your branding aesthetic and your color palette. A lot of
Thank you.
the nature, natural colors.
Yes.
Um, so why did you choose merino wool specifically? Because I know you took over your friend's business and they were already working with a New Zealand wool, did you say? What really drew you to that fabric over others?
It was just the properties. It was like I knew merino wool before, with the bigger companies, and loved it and understood it. And it was just the amazing qualities that it has, like the hypoallergenic, fire resistant, natural, wicking. The list goes on, and the fact that it's renewable, it's natural, that all always intrigued me. But like the business started as with merino wool. Like I can't pivot and say, okay, now we're gonna only make things in cotton where it's like 90% cheaper. Which is would be good with the like financials, but it was always the heart of the brand. And then understanding it more, we went to go visit Australia and our supply chain and merino sheep farms, and like understanding the work that goes into it, the love that goes into it, the stories that are into it just inspires me more to work with the fabric.
Mm.
No. It's such a beautiful fabric. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I mean, your fabric is really it's you use mostly knits, right?
Yes.
Um, Knit fabrics, and it looks so soft. It's so comfortable compared to what you normally think of when you think of wool, kind of that maybe itchy, scratchy kind of feeling. But your clothes don't look like that at all.
It's not. Sometimes, there are a small percentage of people who can't wear it, no matter if it's really soft or not, but I'd say like 99% of our customers, yeah, it's so soft and it's easy to wear, and it's just because of the microns are so low, which means it's just like a really soft fiber, as opposed to wool from other sheep. Merino sheep just have really fine fibers.
Okay. Um, so Simply Merino is known for its quality, transparency, and sustainability. How do those values show up in your design and production process?
Well, we try to be as transparent um, as we can. Design wise, um, well, I always kind of go with what my customers and followers want to see. And it's over the 9 years of learning social media, because I had no idea what I was doing, people want to see who's behind the brand. People want to know what we do, where we have our products made, who makes them, how we designed products. But I really try to get my customers involved. For example, a lot of our newer products, it's because people wanted them. People, if a lot of people are asking for a certain item, then I take them on the journey of trying to make the item that they want, right? So it's always been important, but it was never at the beginning of the business. I felt like I had to hide everything because we were so small, and like we were working out of our bedroom and then our garage, and it just was, for some reason I felt embarrassed because you follow people on Instagram and everything is perfect and they have the most perfect showroom, and just like I wasn't there and I wasn't transparent in those days. I wasn't with our business per se, but like it wasn't until recently that I felt like it's so important to tell the whole story, you know?
Mhm.
But that's what the feedback that I've got from the people who are our customers. So it was a learning experience for how much they want to see and how much transparency they want to see.
Okay. So from what you're saying, it sounds like you involve your customers uh, in the process of the designing and production parts, um, and taking their feedback and turning them into garments. Your pieces are beautiful and simple and functional. Like how do you approach your product development for everyday essentials, and what makes a garment worth producing?
Great question. So, I someone told me this a while ago. I can't remember who, and I can't remember how long ago, but they're like, you need to make something that fits you well, that you love. Not everyone will love it. The fit won't work for everyone, but hopefully some people will. Hopefully, like quite a few people will, right? So I never make anything that I wouldn't wear. If a customer wants something, uh, like a tube top or something like that, I'm not going to make it, especially if I think that it won't work and I wouldn't wear it. So I do take into account what my customers want, but at the end of the day, I need to make something that I love with the colors that I love, with the different type of fabric that I love. So it's, as long as I trust myself and I am honest, then I think that I'm making a good product. And if I do
That
make a
sounds
sample
great.
that I hate, I'm not going to make it, you know?
So you're like the final decision judge that says whether or not this is gonna go through or not.
100%. And it's just me. I'm
Yeah,
designing it. I'm getting it made. I'm trying it on.
yeah.
So, yes, if
So
I don't
and
like
it's
it, then it's
nice to
done.
have a business like that where you're making something that you also love and would wear
Yes.
yourself, right?
Yeah, I wear my brand all the time.
That's amazing. So you do all your production in
Hmm.
Vancouver, Canada.
Yes.
Has it been challenging to keep your productions products Canadian made, and has there been a renewed interest in made in Canada products since the tariffs have been announced?
No, it's never been an issue. making anything in Canada. Vancouver has so many skilled seamstresses and manufacturers. I know right now there's a lot of manufacturers that don't have enough business because a lot of the American companies said no to Canadian made and they're out. So it's a really great time for Canadian apparel businesses to start making or thinking about making in Canada. But no, it took a few years to find ones that we love. We've been working with the same three for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. So they're our friends. If there's something wrong with there's always going to be some quality controls, and if there's a seam that's wrong or it's like uneven, it's so easy for us to get in the car and they fix them, without like there's not even any hesitation because we have that relationship and because it's there we're local. Yes, there has been more interest in Canadian made, but that was, when COVID started, everyone wanted to support local, everyone wanted Canadian made, which was great. COVID actually really helped our business because everyone wanted to be outside and then they understood merino wool and supporting small Canadian businesses. So, yeah, that time was great for us. And again, right now, because of the tariffs in February, when there was a lot of fear regarding the tariffs, we had great sales. But will it last? I'm not sure, but I'm really glad that Canada or Canadian brands are being showcased and understanding the importance of Canadian made. And it's not as hard as one would think.
Great. Um, so you recently took a trip to see your Australian wool supplier.
We did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Sort of what you saw, what
Yeah.
you learned?
Yeah. Well, we took our kids and it was a family trip, and we've always been kind of we've been working with the same supplier and through emails and perhaps some phone calls. But on our end, we're thinking that they're a huge supplier and intimidating and coming from our little small shop, so we really want to understand them. We want to build that relationship, but also understand the process of processing merino wool. So we went down there, we met our supplier in just out of Melbourne, and it was so lovely. It's such a small facility. It was funny because like you have these grandiose ideas and then you walk in and everyone knows your name, and just like it was just so interesting to understand how they knit and dye and what they're doing for sustainability. And it was just a really great experience, and for our kids to understand like this is where our wool comes from. Also, we got to visit one of many merino farms, but especially one that our wool actually came from. So we go there and we stayed there overnight, and it was just the most beautiful experience. The farm was incredibly beautiful and it's just so magical, and they were so excited to see a final product. They've never seen anything that would come from their sheep. So we got to show them and give them some of our product from their farm. It was just so magical. It's hard to kind of put into words how important it was for me. Just the passion and the understanding of the transparency is just, it was so great. I want to go back, but probably not for a few years. It was so great though.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Just to meet the people face to face, right?
Exactly.
People who grow
Exactly.
your fibers, your
Exactly.
raw material, right? It's the
Yes.
starting point.
It's the starting point. And how many businesses are able to do that, right? Like we shook hands with the farmers who sheared the sheep to make it. It's just so special. So special.
This reminds me of a documentary I saw. Have you seen it? It's called
Which one?
Fashion Reimagined.
I don't know if I have.
Oh my gosh. It's a great film. It's a
Okay.
documentary that follows it's a UK brand, Mother Pearl. They're
Okay.
creative director, designer, and they wanted to have the same thing, right? Full transparency with their supply chain where they source their materials. So they were going to sourcing for wool and cotton. So yeah, the whole documentary takes them along the journey.
Cool.
They wanted to know exactly where the wool was coming from and the farmers and then, the whole, knitting process and everything, right, along the whole supply chain.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
Okay, I'll watch it.
I think you would love it. A lot of customers today are seeking out sustainable options. So, how do you educate your audience about the benefits of merino and the ethics behind your brand?
Um, well, I try to put as much information on our website. We've got quite a few different pages that talk about the sustainability practices of our shop and the supply chain and so forth, but also social media, a bit of a broken record of um, the wrongdoings of fast fashion, and not necessarily just talking about my brand, but how it's important to choose quality over cost perhaps, or like knowing where your product comes from and who makes them, and what it actually means. So mostly it's social media, to be honest. And again, it's like the kind of the question and answer. If whatever people want to hear, I try to explain and educate, but it's this constant thing because, social media, it's like, okay, I'll post this, and then, 3 weeks later I have to do it again because there's different people who see it or didn't see it. But it's my job, I feel, to educate customers or potential customers the importance, and again, not only my shop, but to understand what they're buying and who they're buying from, just to make sure that they feel good. I know that so many people don't have the means really to buy slow fashion or educate themselves on the importance. And if if my customers are choosing my shop to buy something from me, when I know most people are financially in a hard time, like that's that fills my heart, and it makes me understand the importance of what they want. Like
Mm.
they want to know who they're buying from. And I'm
Mm.
honored that they're buying from us.
Mhm. Yeah, um, yeah, that must feel really good, and it's
Yes.
like, reassuring, I guess,
Yes.
to have the feeling that, your customers understand and appreciate,
Yeah.
what you do.
Like, yes. Yeah, 100%. Seems though like I really don't know what I'm doing, I'm trying, like I'm figuring it out, but I'm just I don't really know what I'm doing.
Well, let me ask you this question, and if we
Yeah.
were to reverse it, what has your community of customers taught you throughout this journey or inspired you to do differently?
To be honest, like I I feel so grateful for my community of customers because they really embraced me and seem to appreciate me and what I do and what I make and how we make it and how transparent we are and that we're trying. And I think the bottom line is that our customers know that we're trying to be a better business, a sustainable, like we care. Um, I think they've just taught me to follow my heart. That's what it is. To follow my heart, because for so long I just kind of, you for the first 3 or 4 years of owning this business and working so hard and just crying at nighttime because it was just me, and I kept saying that I was a teacher, but I hadn't taught for 3 years, and because I didn't never felt worthy of the label that I'm an entrepreneur or a business owner. I never felt like that. I still am like, no, you know what? No, I am proud now and I'm able to say it. But that's because of my community of customers who have taught me to be proud. You know,
That's
they're important
amazing.
to me.
This it yeah, absolutely. And this is a good segue to lead me into the next question about okay, challenges and lessons learned.
Okay.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on as a business owner?
Well, like I said, we had no idea what we were doing. And in this industry, I think it's different now, but everyone was very hush hush of where they would make their garments, right? Like no one would say where they would make them because they didn't want anyone else to come in and take over what their space. So it was so hard to find a manufacturer, and the first manufacturer we had did not go well. Had the wrong machine, and basically, like I said, I already had some customers, so they were waiting on our restock of the products that were have already been made, and she had used the wrong machine, so when you put it on, it stretched and the threads broke, and I didn't know what like we just we didn't have a lot of money and customers were upset, but I didn't refund them. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, "Oh, okay, well, sorry, this is what happened. If you want to fix it, we'll pay to get it fixed." Or I can't remember what we did, but I didn't do that well. I felt like it was our error. What we should have done was just like, scrapped it all and then just started fresh. But I still feel bad for that because those customers walked away with, not so great product, as well as like I had two small kids, and I it was incredibly hard. Like the balance that women, I'm sure there's balance for men as well, but I I would resent my baby for not sleeping because I had to count stock. I had to fill orders. I would get mad at her for not sleeping right away at nighttime, and I've it hurts my heart because it was such a hard time. Because I couldn't figure it out, and I felt like I had to do everything right away in order for our business to grow. Now, 9 years later, I have a lot more spare time because I'm able to um, have some employees that help me. When you start out a new business, you have no help financially. You have no finances, and with kids, I it was really hard.
Yeah, so you had a baby already, right? When you had taken over the business and then you had your second child too
Yes. Yeah.
during the time. And
Yeah.
how old are your kids now?
10, almost 11 and almost 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are good
So,
times. Yeah.
yeah, it's good times now, and it's fun for them to see our business now, but I almost think like it would have been easier if I started something now rather than when they were really little, when they depended on you so much, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
Um, I know it's hard. And this is a family business, right? Is your
Yeah.
husband involved in it as well?
Yeah, we own it 100%. And then we have a few employees that help with packing orders and customer service, but that's it. So it's just us.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
just
us.
you.
And now, when the first few years, I'd never say that. Like, oh, we're a big business. I never would say a big business, but I was embarrassed that it was just us. I'm
Oh
like,
my
no,
gosh. I
it's just
gotta show
us.
you this post that I made on
Okay.
Instagram about the same thing because I had a clothing brand before.
Okay.
In those early days when I was cutting and sewing, making everything myself on my kitchen table. I was hiding behind it and pretending that I was like this large corporation
Why do we do that?
brand, you know? Yeah.
I know.
Had this facade, right? And just kind of hid behind the products. and a
I
friend to
don't know if
share the story.
I don't know if storytelling was a big deal back then, right? Right now it
Maybe
is.
not. Yes.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny how we felt ashamed of working hard in our kitchen table. I still
Yeah.
work on my kitchen table, by the way. That's my office.
And there's nothing
And
wrong with
I'm proud
that.
of it.
That's
No, exactly.
great. So you should yeah, show us more of that behind the scenes. I'd love to see it. Um so let's move on to talking about growth. What were some pivotal moments that helped Simply Merino grow from an idea into a successful business?
Um, it was a slow growth. We've been growing every year to a really great pace for us. Like I said, we're very small. We have no intention of becoming this big company. I don't think being bigger means better, right? Like there comes more problems and I just that is not of interest to me. Um, to be honest, COVID really helped us. Like that was a pivotal moment where we were sought after in a way, right? Like we ticked off quite a few check marks for what Canadians wanted at the time. So we were very fortunate to get a big boost of sales during that time. And it was organic growth, and then certain people found our shop and organically shared it, and I felt like that was part of a lot of our growth too. When bigger names tend to share something, people listen. So we had a few great people who again just shared our shop and helped us grow in that. And then I think that was our biggest growth during the first, year and a year and a half of COVID. And then it's been growing since, but I felt like that was like a big push.
Mm. Yeah, and I think I mean we talked a little bit about educating consumer. Um, eh,
Hmm.
just in terms of like the brand itself and building awareness and trust for I guess, a lesser known or less common fabric like merino wool.
Hmm.
Yeah, how did you build this awareness, especially in the Canadian market?
Oh gosh, I don't really know. I think I, I don't think it was me. I don't think I did anything different. I felt like maybe I pushed more of the properties of merino wool and why it was important for that time of our life. But I don't think it was much about me. I think it was other people who um, shared about us and educated their followers or customers or whomever. But I don't think it was entirely me,
Hmm.
right?
Um, yeah, no, that's really interesting. You say that. So, do you like? I'm just curious to know. I guess from a more business standpoint, a point of view, right? Because the podcast is really more intended for fashionpreneurs and
Okay.
business owners. So, just kind of
Yeah.
get your sort of insight on all this. Or, so like, what marketing or like customer strategies helped you to create the loyalty, for your brand and getting those repeat customers?
Great question. Well, we've really never paid for any marketing. So Google AdWords we did for a year, I think, but we don't invest in a lot of marketing. Again, like I didn't have a strategy by any means. It was when there's it just by chance, certain groups. So a lot of different groups like natural fabrics. And when our shop is featured in these groups, such as like homesteading families. Homestead is huge right now. So that's farms and natural lifestyles. It's huge. We gained so many new customers, but I didn't know about that community. right? So I wasn't searching for different ways of marketing. It kind of organically just happened. So these different communities and groups shared us, and then I understood, oh wow, these Waldorf communities really want wool. I'm going to market that, or like hashtag Waldorf, or work with outdoor schools, which we've done many times, right? So I didn't have a strategy. It was all kind of like what I experienced, and then I followed through from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Again, like,
I think
yeah,
every company does things differently. Yeah, it's interesting that you share that, and these communities that you just happen to, I guess, come across that you didn't know before.
no, obviously
They
I knew that, but I didn't know that how much interest they wanted or invested in natural fabrics, right? And I was like, what?
Mm.
So it was by chance, but I don't think it's for every fabric. If this is for fashion students or fashion businesses, it's not for every fabric, but I think it's listening and understanding where the need is, or your niche market, right? And then kind of market it through that.
Yeah, very good advice.
Okay.
I love it. So let's talk about the future. How has your brand and your vision evolved over the years? I mean, from the beginning when you first
Mm.
started to where you are now, how has your vision for the brand evolved?
Well, like I said, it started just as kids because, at 10 plus years ago, it was very hard to find any pajamas that weren't chemically treated with fire retardants, and merino wool is naturally fire resistant. So the brand focused on kids and still does. But when I started making I made a long sleeve shirt for women, and then it kind of just naturally just progressed into more of a women centered brand. And again, it's kind of like what people were wanting. There's the basics for kids, but you can't really go too much more with the kids line. But for women, there's so many different products that you could make. And to be honest, it's more inspiring for me because then I at like kids, yes, of course, it's important. They are important, but it's these I get to have like different styles and different fabrics. That's been exciting too. I've been more using different types of weaves. So like waffle and fleece and a thicker rib, and that's really exciting. So that's really helped kind of like my inspiration for the brand. So what was the last, it was part of like, how are you asking me how the future is? Was that
Well, that first part was, yeah, how has your brand evolved? And then, so what's next for Simply Merino? Do you have any new
Oh
product
yes.
collaborations, or goals on the horizon?
Okay. Yes. So I'm bringing out new products, not all the time, just the products that I feel are worthy of making and the need for them. I'm making some men's underwear because our merino underwear for women is one of our biggest selling products. And I have a little boy, and he needs some wool underwear, so I'm making those. So kind of like making a bit more for men, not much. I really am more focused on women and a few items for men and obviously kids. Exciting because I think you said so we've saved over 15,000 pounds of our textile waste in production. And last summer, we shipped it on a train to North Carolina where they are recycling it. So our next big project is making products out of our recycled wool. So that is like that's my excitement for the next probably year. And so yeah, that's the goal is just to keep doing what I'm doing and not focus on numbers per se, but like just focus on my true self and what my values are for our brand.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Um, so the scraps that got sent down to North Carolina, did you say, is that actually gonna be like repurposed into other something else, like turned into another fiber that you're gonna use to make
Yeah,
stuff
so
out of?
yeah, so they are shredding it and they have already shredded it. And now they are just testing what kind of um, thread or yarn that they can make it into. So they would have to add either virgin wool with it to make it stronger or not, or maybe a cotton or something. And then we're going to see what we can make. So it's kind of a testing period, but yes, it's going to become wool again, not necessarily a fabric, like a knitted something or other, socks and hats and maybe a sweater and a blanket, but all from our recycled textile waste.
Great.
I know, I know. So that's what I'm really looking forward to for sure.
Yeah, wow. So last question. So what advice would you give to other women or mompreneurs starting their own sustainable fashion brand?
Ooh, starting their own sustainable fashion brand. Okay. I would say go for it and don't be afraid of storytelling. Be transparent. Stay true to your values and what is important to your brand, whether it's design or the fabric. But if you're a true sustainable fashion brand, then you have to work hard and you have to earn that title, you know? So as long as you have a passion and you have a drive, then do it. It's hard, but you got to do it. You got to try.
Mhm. Yes, you gotta try.
You got to try.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, I really feel it, what you're saying. It just really, it's truly, it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
I can
And
feel
I
it.
think that's
Yeah, from you.
important. If you're doing
Mhm.
it just for the money, don't do it.
No, don't do it. It's not the
Because
business to get into to get rich fast.
exactly, it wasn't, 5 years. It took us 5 years to even make any money. Right? Don't do it for money because it's likely it's not going to happen. But if you're doing it to make a change and to do something better, then yes, of course, do it.
Hmm. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
I would say email or social media. I'm the one behind social media, so any messages go to me. My email address, Shannon at simplymerino.com. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of me.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing your journey, insights, and inspiration with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was so fun.
That was great. If you're listening and want to experience the comfort of sustainable merino wool for yourself, head to simplymerino.ca.
Sure.